What's up, my fellow book lovers and bookworms and fanatics of the universe? It's Alex, and I'm back with another video. For today's book review, I'm going to be doing Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. And I just want to say, this is by far one of the best books I've ever read in my life. And I also want to give you a summary of what the book was about, and I will tell you all right away. And let's dive into the video. So the story follows a young boy named Percy Jackson, and he is 12 years old, and he lives in the Big Apple, which is also called New York. And he lives with his mother, who is named Sally, and also with her husband, Gabe Ugliano. Ugh! I did not like him at all in the story. I mean, he is mean, abusive, and repulsive on so many levels. And I think the reason that repulsive and vomitrocious are around these days is because I think he invented it. It was the OG or something. Almost as much as the cavemen did not know what personal hygiene and oral hygiene was. Anyway, Percy also goes to this school called Yancey Academy, and let's just say it's no fun picnic to go to, because there's a lot of kids who are basically troublemakers and delinquents. And Percy's only friend in school is this one boy named Grover, who is always stuck by Percy's side for as long as he can remember. And Percy also does sometimes get into some fights with this one bully who is named Nancy Bobofed. And let's just say she's pretty ugly too. And boy, is she nasty. And also, Percy has two different disorders called ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactive Disorder, and he also has dyslexia, which means that Percy does have trouble with reading and possibly learning how to spell and how to do certain stuff. And his one class that he does pretty well in the most is Latin with his favorite teacher, Mr. Brunner. And I personally like Mr. Brunner, and I think he's a good teacher. And if you think Mr. Brunner would be a good teacher for you guys to have, so go smash that like button if you want Mr. B to be your teacher for school. If so, that would be awesome. And later on, Percy's class goes on this field trip to the museum. And then trouble does follow him. And then there's also another teacher who does chaperone the field trip, and her name is Mrs. Dodds, which is the new math teacher. And I did not like her at all because she was beyond scary, and she was mean, and she always made Percy look miserable. And Mrs. Dodds was not who we thought she was, because it turns out she might be scarier than the average human. And also, along the way, Percy and his mother do go on a trip to this one beach where Percy learns is that his mother also was with Percy's biological father a little before Percy was born. And his father left while Percy was still like a baby. And then years later, she married Gabe, who is actually Percy's stepfather. And I would not want to have a stepdad like Gabe. I mean, he is horrible and rotten to the core, like I mentioned earlier. And let's just say, also, Percy learns is that there are monsters who are after him as well, because he is not normal. And we learn is that his friend Grover is actually a satyr, which is like a mythical goat, and that's why Grover's been protecting him for so many years. And Percy goes to this new camp called Camp Half-Blood, which is for demigods or half-bloods, however you guys want to prefer, to the kids who come from like a family member who is a god or a goddess. And some of the monsters that Percy fights in the story would be a Fury, a Minotaur, a Hellhound, and a familiar monster called Medusa. And Percy also meets another camper, and her name is Annabeth. And I just want to say, I think Annabeth is actually a really young, beautiful character in the story. And while at Camp Half-Blood, Percy also meets some other campers like Luke Castellan, who is a counselor, and there's also this camp bully named Clarice. And she is no one that you should be messing with, and she does not give a crap. Please excuse my language, everybody. And I personally think Clarice is a lot meaner than Nancy Bobofit was. And my favorite character by far in the story was Percy, because as you can see, I'm wearing a Camp Half-Blood t-shirt and matching jeans to maybe look the part. And I'm really glad I picked it out. And I also found out in the story is that Zeus, who is the god of thunder and lightning, his master bolt is missing, and everyone thinks Percy is the prime suspect. And if you guys think Percy is innocent in this video, then go smash that like button if you think we can get justice for Percy and uncover the real lightning thief. And for my rating on this book on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm gonna give this book a good solid 8, because I think Rick Riordan did such an awesome job with the series. And I really love this cover because it shows a lot of New York, like the Empire State Building on the front cover, and you can see Percy holding a trident. And Percy can also control water with his hands and mind. And I also did find out is that Percy is the son of the god of the sea, which is Poseidon. And I personally can relate to Percy because I would love to be the son of Poseidon myself, if that's ever possible. So I'm not going to spoil anything else, I promise. And this is my second time reading this book because I read this when I was younger too. And so far the book only took me like 6 days to read. And it was such a thrill ride for me. And I just want to say, I cannot wait to continue reading the series as soon as I can. And I would personally would love to go to Camp Half-Blood if I was a demigod. And for those of you who do not know, is that I am a big fan of the Percy Jackson book series now. And I also want to say that the Percy Jackson books are a lot easier to read than the Harry Potter series ever was. I mean, I do miss reading Harry Potter too. And I think Percy Jackson is going to be a good recommendation for me now. And for those of you who would like to read this book, I would personally recommend it if you too think you're a demigod, and if you think you have a god who is actually, like, say, your birth mom or your birth dad. If so, that would be great. Now, before I end this video, I have an announcement for you all. I found out is that they're turning the Percy Jackson books into an actual TV show on Disney+, which is by far the best news I've ever heard my entire life. But unfortunately, the show won't premiere on Disney Plus until 2024, which is kind of a bummer. But I'm going to stay strong for the love of the Greek gods, especially Poseidon, and for all the half-blood campers, and especially Percy. And if you guys are so excited to watch the new Percy Jackson series once it premieres pretty soon on Disney Plus, then go smash that like button if you think you want to watch Percy Jackson and the Olympians. And I also realized was that The Lightning Thief is going to be season 1. And I think as the show goes on, I think all the titles of the Percy Jackson books would represent each season. So, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all again real soon. And have a nice weekend. And stay safe, stay strong, be healthy, and remember to watch out for monsters if you're in the mortal world and don't realize that you're a half-blood. And I also want to say is that if you guys have a favorite character from Percy Jackson, then go smash that like button again if you have a favorite character, like whether it's a he or a she, then that's good too. And now, I kind of want to maybe sing a little song that I can maybe try to do for you guys, that could describe Gabe, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Smelly Gabe, smelly Gabe. It's my fault that I'm so smelly, gross, and disgusting, and I like to treat my stepson like he's a delinquent, a pug, and nothing but a scum and a piece of trash, and I like to treat my wife like she's the maid and a slave, and I like to have poker parties with all my buddies, and I like to be gross and work my store, and I also like to keep money for myself and refuse to use it because I'm such a cheapskate. And I don't care what happens to my deadbeat stepson. And my name is Smelly Gabe Ugliano. It's not my fault that Ugliano is a longer name for ugly, which is what I would hate being called by a bunch of kids. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And this is how I feel about Smelly Gabe, because this is what Percy would call him when he was younger. And I can really not blame Percy for that, because as Gabe was kind of disgusting and repulsive, and he always was trash. And he did look like a little bit of a walrus, like, because he barely had any hair on his head. And also, please make sure you don't forget to go like, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications for when I do my next video for you guys. I hope you all have a great day. Peace out for now, my fellow half-bloods and demigods, and Percy Jackson fans of the universe and the world, and even the galaxy.